One station making history every day.
My sweet home, Chicago.
Now, John Cass.
89
John Cass, 89 WS with Lauren Cohn. We've been talking about the first hour. We talked about how we were evolving into higher order of beings the farther left we go.
We're very hopeful, John.
Right?
We're hopeful for the future.
But now it's time for a little dose of reality. Before we become Greece and Spain, and 25% unemployment and running out of money and people having to go back to the village in order to dig potatoes to eat, I think maybe we should start watching our pennies. Is that radical? Is that mean?
Well, here's the big story. The story is the House is voting on our debt limit tomorrow. We're $16.4 trillion in debt. And here's basically, if we don't solve this issue, we got to pay our bills. And I asked the question, what happened to living within your means?
Well, we don't do that, do we? And we have a guest to tell us how we have gotten away from living with our means. Scott Martin, a financial analyst with Accent Asset Management.
How you guys doing?
Also a news contributor, I think, on Fox?
Fox,
on
yeah.
Neil Cavuto's show?
Beyond Your World with Neil Cavuto today at 3 p.m.
Say hi to Neil for me.
I will.
What is going on with... Why don't we just keep spending, Scott? Isn't that the way...
I think we're going to do it, John. Here's the funny thing about the budget talks. You guys hit on it. I mean, look, if you're a household, the government tells you, get your finances in order, right? You know, pay down your debt, don't spend more than you take in, all those things that make sense. But when you're the U.S. government and you've got, number one, the best backing in the world, which is the U.S. taxpayer that you can just soak to no end, and you've got printing presses all across the country that can print money to pay those bills, quote unquote, even though you keep racking them up. Hey, when the money's free, let's just keep going.
Well, there are people who are listening to this program who have been trying to save some money. They have gone through a terrible economic time, and they were afraid. They were told, hey, you have to have some cash, and they know that they have to have some cash in them, right, just to be safe. So they start saving money, and now the government starts printing money to cover up the deficit. Tell those people and the people who think I should evolve to the left, and someday I will, and I guess I'll be accepted and loved by many of my colleagues in the media. But before that happens, what happens to the people who saved a little money now? Now that we keep printing more money, what happens to the value of that money? What do they call that? Some kind of something inflation?
Inflation, yeah.
Right?
And John, I'll tell you what it is. It's basically an erosion in your standard of living. Meaning that if you go 5, 10, 15 years into the future and you have inflation, which means the cost of basically everything goes up, yet the dollars you have in your pocket may not go up, right? So guess what happens? Your standard of living, the stuff you can buy, the stuff you can go out and do, becomes less. And it hurts everybody.
So, Scott, what's the bottom line? The Republican Party retreating a bit on this, saying, okay, we'll raise the debt limit, but we need severe spending cuts. So what's the bottom line for those of us at home?
Listen, Lauren, I think it's going to be a really nasty fight because we've already lost, I think, a couple rounds here with the tax hikes that not only hit the rich guys on December 31st or January 1st, but hit everybody.
Burn the rich.
We all know. Burn the rich and hit everybody else, John, because guess what? Everybody's taxes went up. So, Lauren, the point you're making is they're going to raise the debt ceiling, which basically means more spending for government. And I think what's eventually going to happen is there's going to be more tax hikes coming, guys. I'm telling you, there's going to be more stuff coming down the pike here.
Here's why, Scott and Lauren. You cannot raise taxes on the middle, whatever they call it, the Democrats call the middle class, without first soaking the rich. So they had their little drama. Pardon me. They had their little drama. Boil the rich, that went on throughout the campaign. Now comes the time when real money comes, and that means you can't raise on the middle class until you hit the rich. Number two, I know what the Democrats are. and many of my colleagues who are smoking opium and in love with rhetoric, they're really basically useful idiots. I know that. But in terms of the rhetoric, it's nice and warm and cool, and he can sing Al Green into your ear, and you can get your tingle down the leg, and everybody's happy. They got all the food groups, all the demographic food groups, all right, politically. But I know that they're about raising money, soaking me, raising my taxes, and growing government. That's what the Democratic Party is. Where's the Republican Party? What is the Republican Party stand for anymore?
So here's my next question then. So let's go the reverse.
I just asked one. So the question is, what's the Republican Party stand for, Lauren?
I don't know anymore.
Right. I think that's the point. The message is so screwed up. And John, you lit off with something on the show at 9 o'clock that's important, which you just touched on. This is an administration. This is a government that says, that dollar in your pocket, we know better what to do with it than you do. And that's a major problem. Yet, people who are on the left, or these evolvers, quote unquote, say, oh, that's cool. That's okay.
So then my next question is, we don't raise the limit, but we instill this fear in people, you're not going to get your Social Security checks.
Great point.
Why not demagogue everything?
Right, John, circa August 2011, President Obama did the same thing. No Social Security checks, national parks would close, all kinds of government shutdowns. Guess what? This is a technical term, guys. That was doggy poo. Because guess what? That didn't happen. It wouldn't have happened if we wouldn't increase the debt ceiling, because we have the money, like I said, to print and pay for that stuff. It's not a debt ceiling issue. It's never a tax issue. It's a spending problem.
Where's the Republican Party to give me an alternative to the big government party, which is the Democratic Party? On one hand, I hear the Republicans talk about, and I'm a conservative. I'm not a liberal, but I'm not a Republican. I grew up in Illinois. I saw what the Republicans did to this state in the budget and the what is it now, Lauren? $190 million billion-dollar pension liability. They're doing the same thing nationally. What is their deal?
John, they're lost. And they had a great opportunity in the last couple months to try to stand up and at least put something down with regards to, now, we all know Boehner and some of the guys have been talking to Obama about some deals. Whatever has happened there, Mitch McConnell, they didn't get anything done, and all that came out was Obama did the victory lap.
All right, my name is John Cass. I'm with Lauren Cohen, and sitting in with us is Scott Martin. We're talking about finances, the future of this country, and where the Republicans are to save us or save themselves. 591-8900 WLS. John Cass, 89 WLS, Lauren Cohen, and with us is Scott Martin. Listen, guys, I know people might be a little upset playing the Russian national anthem, the old one, the old communist anthem, but they ran into the same problem we're running into now. Their empire collapsed because they spent too much and didn't have money. And what we're doing right now, spending too much, not enough money, we're printing it. And so when we print money, we're basically inflating the cost of the price of the dollar, and we're stealing money from people out there listening who have little bank accounts. We're stealing that money from them. Or not we, but the politicians. The Democrats are for big government, big spending, big taxes, big everything. The Republicans, this is the issue. What do they stand for, Lauren? Scott, what are they doing? We want to take your calls, 591-8900, and maybe we'll take one. Okay, Marge from Skokie. Marge.
Hello?
Marge, this is...
Somebody sneeze?
Yes, it's John Cass. That's how he speaks.
John's still getting over the flu.
Still got the flu.
But he came to work.
Hello, okay. Well, I'm here to defend the Republicans.
Please do, because I used to be a
Republican. My defense on this. They have no power. They might be the majority in the House of Representatives, but what proves it is the fact that the last 2 years since they took control of the House, they have sent over 20 bills to the Senate to be debated and acted upon, and Harry Reid, I think, probably put them in this round file, but they never got to the floor to be debated.
Okay.
So there's very little that they can do because there are three heads to this legislation thing: the House, the Senate, and the administration. And they're only one part of it.
But they don't have to. They could have been a little bit tougher. Thanks for calling, Marge. They could have been a little bit tougher in the last go-round.
Well, and what happened to all the discussion about reform? Reforming Medicare and Medicaid?
They were herded like cats with their tails on fire by Obama.
We heard about the entitlements yesterday, guys. I mean, that was incredible, too. Talking about the entitlement spending in the inaugural address.
When there's no money.
Right.
Wait, there's not even enough money for There's not enough money for Medicare and Social Security. So let's do Obamacare. On top of that, let's raise the debt. Now we're at $17 trillion, and that will be like $22 trillion in about 2 weeks. And we keep spending and spending. Our media doesn't care. Our Republicans are. Here's the problem with the Republicans: they're establishment corporate suck-ups. Okay, they're not conservatives. And what you're seeing now is a fight between the conservatives and the libertarians and the Republicans who want to express power internationally when there's no money. So if I'm a Democrat, I would tell them, you guys can't raise money. You can't spend domestically. Now, the Republicans, I would say, hey, we don't have money. How can you spend and spend? Well, do we need another 7 navies? Do we need another? You know what I mean? They're spending on
and they tell you when the times get tough, the tough get going, right?
What does that mean? What are they telling us about spending on trillions of dollars on defense?
Yeah, times are tough.
Scott,
John, I'll tell you something. You mentioned the corporate suck-ups. Here's something interesting. It wasn't until the last election in 2012 that Wall Street got the message and actually jumped over to the Republican side. You remember in 2008, all the banks were supporting Obama. Wall Street was giving money to Obama. And now they're like, oh, yeah, 4 years later, it's not so good. Sorry, we're jumping on the other side.
I think that capital jumps where capital can make money. They're not political. And the people who are listening to this program, if you're conservative or if you're a Democrat, you got to realize they're stealing from you. They're going to be, all they're doing is printing money, and that like 50 grand you have in the bank is going to be worth 25 in 10 years. John Cass, 89 WLS. We'll be back after this.
Weather happens. Turn to 89 WLS for up-to-the-minute forecast from America's most dependable, the Weather Channel. Online at WLSAM.com. Keyword storm and 89 WLS.
John Cass, 89 WLS with Lauren Cohn. And with us, Lauren, is Scott Martin, President and CEO of Accent Asset Management and a contributor to Fox Business Channel. What will the Republicans do? Are they going to cave on principle, or are they going to do something and stand up for something?
Why don't they just follow suit what they've done in the last 3 months, John?
Which is what? Run around like cats and get herded by Obama?
Get herded and get told you got the deal of your lifetime and we're going to cave. I mean, that's just what's going to happen here. What's going to be interesting is the passage of this debt ceiling increase is going to be good for the stock market, too.
Oh,
because the market loves all this.
So my 401k is going to be okay.
Yeah, the 401k, great point, Lauren. For people out there, the 401k, as everybody knows, has been doing pretty well. That's one of the weird things about all this destruction that's kind of going on behind the scenes. The market thinks everything's okay.
Yeah, unless you're trying to save cash on the side, then you're getting ripped off. John, on the Kennedy, you're on the line.
Hey, good morning. How are you guys?
When will the Republicans stand up and start fighting back?
I don't know. I'm a conservative, and I think it's our own damn fault. The liberals and everybody, they'll go out and demonstrate, and they'll show their support. But when it comes to doing that, the Republicans just kind of sit on their hands and cry foul. I think that what needs to be done is that the people have to take their party back.
Thanks a lot, John and the Kennedy. Scott, Lauren, we're going to see if the Republicans stand up for anything, but I don't know. I want to thank you very much for sitting in with us.
Good to see you guys again.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming in.
Keep your eye on those markets.
Don't count on that summer. That's not a done deal, in my opinion.
All right, then. I'm John Cass with Lauren Cohen. We're back with more after this.